Now let's say there are n elements, some elements in the group, and you have found out the average, right? So let us assume that there are some few elements and you found out the average, and all the elements after finding out the average, we found out that the average is somewhere here. So according to the bar graph, I could represent all the elements like this, right? So what does it mean? After finding out the averages, when I distribute the value, I can see all the values like this. Now if I try to add a new value, now what happens to the new average? If I try to add a new value, let us say if that new value is greater than this average, right? Now this particular part could be divided, taken out and distributed over all these n items. Now as of now there are n plus 1 items. So initially n items were there, and now one more item is added whose value is greater than the average of these n items. Then what is the overall effect is, you could have taken this extra part and you could have distributed that extra difference over all these n items. Therefore it is going to bring your average up, isn't it? Therefore adding a member to a group whose value is greater than the average of the existing group will always pull up the average. By how much? That depends on the newly added value. Let us say the newly added value is a n plus 1 and the existing average is, let's say, capital A, right? Now let's find out the difference, which means this particular part. What is this difference? That is what I wanted to find out. Now the difference would be a n plus 1 minus a, right? Now this particular difference has to be cut into equal parts and then given to all of them so that the average will move up, because all of them have to get the equal share, isn't it? Equal distribution of the difference. Now divided by n plus 1. Why? Already n elements were there. Now along with the new one, everyone has to get a fair share, right? That is why it is distributed across n plus 1 items. Now see this. If you observe this, if the newly added element an plus 1 is higher than the original average, then this is the increment, right? Which means our average is going to be increased. In case if this is less, then what happens? Our average is going to be decreased, which means instead of this item, if I added a new item whose value is less than the average, like this, then what should happen? I should take out some value from all of them and I should give it to this, so that all of them are again going to be at the same level. Which means if I add a value whose value is less than the existing average, then the average of the group is going to fall down, right? So increase or decrease will be guided by this principle. So what is it? The existing average, and this is the new value added. New value minus existing average divided by n plus 1 is the difference that we are going to have. So which means if our original average is this a, then our final new average will be this. New average of the group will be original average plus this. In case if you have added an element whose value is greater than the original one, the overall new average is going to increase because this entire term is going to be positive. In case if you have added an element whose value is less than this, then what happens? You are going to get a negative value and the new value is going to fall down. Got it? Okay. And now you can also think of replacing and deletion under the same conditions, right? So let us say we have deleted an element, right? And the element that you have deleted is actually contributing to the average by pulling it up. So which means, let us assume that we have some few elements like this, right? One element is like this, right? And after finding out the average, let us say I found out that average is somewhere here, right? Now if I delete this element, then what happens is average will definitely fall down. The reason is this would have been the element which had contributed some value to all the other elements, and it had pulled up the average by giving its value to the lower elements. Now by deleting a higher element, you are actually taking it away, and now the average will fall down. In case if you delete a smaller element, then what happens? Now this would have been the element which had pulled the average down because it would have taken the values from other values to maintain that average. Got it? Therefore, when you try to delete an element whose actual value is greater than the average, then your average will fall down, right? And if you try to delete element whose value is less than the average, then the average will increase. Got it? Okay, so with problems we'll be able to understand it better, right? Now what is replacing? Replacing is nothing but deleting one element and then adding a new element, right? So in case if the replacing is going to increase the total sum, then the average is supposed to increase. If the replacing is going to decrease the total sum, then the average is supposed to decrease, which means if I delete this element with higher value and if I replace it with an element of lower value, then what happens to the overall sum? The overall sum is going to decrease, therefore average is going to decrease, right? Now if I delete this element with lower value, and if I replace it with a higher value, then what happens? The overall sum will increase, therefore average is supposed to increase, right? Okay, with problems we shall see what that exact values are, right? Okay.
Hi, if you are planning to do masters, then doing masters abroad is better than doing masters in India. I'll give you all the reasons. So, first reason is, out of 1 lakh students who take GATE every year, there are only 500 seats in old IITs. So all the IITs put together have an acceptance rate of 0.5%, and IITs, universities better than IITs, they have very good acceptance rate like 30%, 40%, but all the IITs put together have an acceptance rate of 0.5%. And if you are working hard to get into IIT Bombay's ranking is 177 and IIT Roorkee's ranking is 400. If you are happy to get into IIT Roorkee, then getting into universities better than IIT Roorkee is easier compared to getting into IIT Roorkee. And looking at the salaries for computer science, for software jobs, if you have done your masters in computer science in US, the salaries are ranging from 80 lakhs per year to 1.2 crore per year. So even if you take an average of 1 crore per year, your savings will be much higher than the salaries in India. After taxes and your cost of living, you can easily save 40 to 50 lakhs per year. And in India, the maximum jobs that you get is around 30 lakhs. So your savings will be much greater than the salaries in India. And these are all the services that we provide. University shortlisting. So depending on your profile, we will shortlist what are the universities that you have to apply, and statement of purpose building, and then LOR guidance, and GRE and English test assistance, and education loan assistance. So you don't have to have any collateral, which means without any security, now you can get education loan. Getting education loan is very simple these days, and whatever the amount of fee that you have a range of universities. You can apply for 10 lakh universities, 20 lakh universities, or 50 lakh universities. But whatever it is, you are going to get complete education loan, and you can pay off your education loan in 1 year after you get a job. And then we do visa assistance, mock visa interviews, and then connecting with the university alumni. So now you might ask why we should join Game of Visas. So the answer is we have 90% success rate, 99% success rate. And these are all the destinations that we guide the students to. So we guide students to any country that you want to go. So now it is not just USA. We guide to UK, Germany, Australia, Canada. So we guide students to all the countries. We work with all the destinations. And if you are interested in going abroad, you have to just drop us a message on this WhatsApp number 9494 555 454. Okay, thank you.